He goes, and we all go, yup! Have you ever gotten that feeling where you sign up for something as soon as you hear about it, and then like right before it's about to happen, you go, I'm not 100% sure about this? That is kind of the feeling I had when I was about to participate in the Omikoshi Matsuri in Japan. I got an email through school that they were holding this Matsuri and they invited international students to join, which is me. I immediately signed up as soon as I saw the email, filled out the Google form, told them my shoe size, and I was ready to go. And then I honestly didn't think too much about it until the night before when I got an email saying, hey, this is the meeting location at 9:30 tomorrow in Setagaya. Oh, I kind of forgot about that. So got a good night's rest, woke up super early in the morning, and sprinted to the temple in Setagaya. I show up at the temple just in time at 9:30 in the morning. I look around, not a single foreigner. There is nobody from my school. There is no other international students. It is just me. And so I'm looking around. I find two younger lads and I ask them, I'm supposed to get dressed or something? I honestly have no idea what's going on. The email basically said, hey, want to participate? Sign up here. They were like, oh, over there. So I go up to this lady and I say, temple, ryugakusei, and she goes, oh, temple. And then she pulls out this list and there's like 7-ish names on it. I'm like, oh, okay, good. At least there's some other people here. And I pay her 2,500 yen for a pair of tabi shoes, which is basically this cloth shoe with a rubber sole, and that's it. And it's a very, very thin rubber sole. You're basically barefoot with a little bit of protection from sharp objects. And then she also gives me my uniform and my obi belt. Putting all of this on, trying to figure out exactly how to wear it because everything in Japan has a meaning, and I'm sure if I put the right over the left over the right or the right over the left the wrong way, I'd probably be disgracing thousands of years of Japanese tradition. So I actually go up and I find the biggest guy whose butt cheeks are hanging out, and I was like, that guy knows what he's talking about, he knows what he's doing, I trust that guy with my life. So I go up to him and I go, help onegai shimasu, and he goes, oh, pulls me in, wraps my jacket around the right way, ties my obi belt nice and tight. I go, arigatou gozaimasu. At this point, I'm just kind of standing around, like I have no idea what's going to go on. There's this ginormous float in the middle, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a giant wooden, like multi-thousand-pound shrine that's supposed to be the temporary shrine. And this is the temporary shrine for the Shinto god to chill in while we carry him all around town and present him to businesses and the police stations and to other shrines and pay our respects. And this thing is heavy as balls. Before I say anything, this thing is so absurdly heavy. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that looks like a couple 100 pounds, you know, with 20 people on there, we'll be chilling. Now this thing's like 2,000 to like 5,000 pounds average, and like there's 20 people, but like if you're on a corner, if you're on one of the corners, this thing's starting to... Okay, so I'm standing around. At this point, I see the big shrine, the big float that we're going to be carrying, the Omikoshi. I'm dressed up, I got my shoes, I got my jacket, I'm feeling pretty good. I've stored my bag away in the corner, and then I'm just kind of standing off to the side as they're speaking a bunch of Japanese, I assume telling everybody what's going on. Not very helpful to me because I don't speak very good Japanese, but I heard a few key words, and then I heard ryugakusei, which is international student, and I'm like, hi, and then like they like start to move on, and then some person like pushes me forward and they're like, ryugakusei, temple ryugakusei. So I get pushed forward into this crowd. At this point they had called out several other people, a bunch of old oji-sans, like these guys were legit. Butt cheeks were hanging out of a couple of them. That's how you know that they're legit, is if you're seeing cheek. So I get kind of pushed up. Everyone else before kind of bowed to the crowd and then bowed to the temple, so I do the same. I bow to the crowd, I bow to the temple. Now, the two lads that I had spoken to earlier asking them where I was supposed to get dressed also got called up as just general Japanese students, so I stand next to them as they tell us further instructions. We all get clapped for. I'm kind of at this point in my head going like, where is everybody else? Where is the other international students? Then I'm brought to the realization, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm the only one here. Fine by me, honestly. Like, the most authentic experiences is where you're by yourself and you're just like, you're just in it. They're yelling out all this stuff, and like I'm just kind of standing around like, what do I do? And then I get pushed into like the center of the Omikoshi, and then we're all standing around the float, and then this old Oji-san gets up on top of the float, and he's got the blocks, like the blocks from the like, that's the sound.
Here we go.
Nice.
That's the sound.
Video, you know that? He goes, and we all go, yup! And we lift this thing up, and this is the point at which I realize, I'm like, this thing is this thing is so heavy. I can't even describe how heavy this thing is. And you'd think with all these people it wouldn't be that heavy, but trust me, if you're on one of the corners or in the very front or in the very back, if you start to give in, if you start to like, the whole float will sink to the corner you're on. Trust me, that was me. I was there. I was sinking the float. It was so... We started marching. I'm trying to like figure out the chants. I'm trying to get my feet right. I'm in the middle, so there's someone in front of me and someone behind me, and we're all going, yod, yod, yod. And like these old guys are literally on their tippy toes, like jumping up and down with this float, and I'm there barely able to hold this thing up, just trying to keep from stepping on the guy's feet in front of me. And so we march for 30-minute intervals. So we did 30 minutes and then we'd stop. And so we're dancing, we're yelling, yo, yo. And then what the coolest thing ever is that all the guys are doing this like, yeah thing. And then there's this one lady in the center who's going, yeah, yeah, as we're all marching with this float. So it's a bunch of yols and yas from this lady, and there's drummers, and then there was a K-truck in front of us, and the guy was drumming away on his drum, and then there was a dude with a flute, and he was killing it too. And then occasionally people would be swapping in and out of like the corners, because those were the hardest positions. And so like you just get like shoved out, and then someone would just take your place and keep carrying this thing. So there was like 40 of us carrying this big old float through the town. And so we stopped for our first break, and I immediately get handed like a beer and tea and then like a piece of fruit. And so now I'm there with my beer and my tea and my fruit, just like hanging on for dear life already. And I started talking with the students, I started talking with a couple of the older gentlemen, all in broken Japanese, broken English, and everybody was incredibly nice. It was one of the most amazing experiences. But the students were super cool. I actually made friends with one of them. We're gonna go play tennis later. And the old guy was super amazing. Like, he kept asking me if I was doing good, which like, I kept telling him I was doing good, even when I wasn't, which you have to do. And then we start dancing again with the float, we pick it all up. The main dude gets on top and he does his clap, he goes, and we all clap too while he's using his blocks. We bring this float up onto our shoulders, and this is like, in my mind, all I'm thinking about is like, who's gonna carry the boats? As they're carrying this big old shrine around town. And then we did this, we went and we stopped and we went and we stopped like, I want to say like 8 times. So we were out there for 7 hours, just with this big old float. And then a couple of the notable stops were, one stop, the old guy came up to me and he said, a gift, a Japanese sake. And so he gave me this like big old cup of Japanese sake, and then someone else gave me a highball, so now I have a highball and Japanese sake and an onigiri. So I'm just like slamming sake, highballs, onigiri, and beer. So at this point, like, I'm a little tipsy because I think I've had 2 beers and a highball, and then like not like a sip of sake. Like, he gave me like one of those full paper cups of sake. So I slammed that back and I stand up and I was like, this is insane. So now I'm tipsy and carrying this big old float and yelling, just running through the streets, hot as balls out, by the way. That was one of the most notable stops, was the sake and the highball stop. And then we get to the main shrine that we're bringing this shrine to that shrine to like say what's up, and then we bring that shrine back because the god's supposed to be in there, so I guess he's like saying hi to his friend. And so we cruise in, like we like drift this thing into the parking lot, parallel park it. Actually, the funniest thing is parking the shrine. Every time we stop, the guy gets up with his blocks, and if we park it like crap, he tells us, and we back the whole thing up and we come in again. So there was times where when we tried to park it, we're going, yeah, we like come in to park it, and he's like, nah, backs us up. So now we're getting backed up, we're all stepping on each other's feet, tripping over. We gotta go, yeah, and we bring in this thing in, and like if he doesn't like it, he just sends us back again. There was times where we just like do it 3 times, and we're all dying because it's like, you know, half an hour of carrying this couple 1,000-ton like float, and he's just like, not good, back it up. And so we drop it off, and then it's like a car meet, like 4 other floats like come drifting into the parking lot, and they're all yeah, and there's dudes with whistles, drums, flutes, and then what's funny is watching them like not be able to park it either. Like their guy, same like similar dude in red, just like nah, back it up. That was trash. So then you can see that there's like, no, and then they've got to give it their all on their last. So they're like jumping up and down, and there's bells on the float, and they're all getting rung about, and then they can finally park it. And so we park it, we post up. There's like 5 of us at the float meet, and we're all chilling, and then we all get ready to go. And I thought we were gonna head back the same way to our shrine. No, we start carrying upstairs. We're going up to the shrine because we're in like the office area. So we're all yawing as we're carrying this thing up like multiple sets of stairs, and then our shrine is so big that we had to all like get down and basically hold it with our hands backwards, like down by our knees, to get it underneath the torii gate, because the torii gate's got some stuff on it and it's hanging down. And so we're like shimmying our shrine underneath the torii gate, and then we bring it up to the top, and we dance with our shrine in front of the big shrine, and then we park it. Everyone parks it. And then the Shinto priest in like blue and crazy other stuff and a crazy hat sings to us, and he starts doing one of those Japanese, like I've only heard it at Buddhist temples, but it must be a Shinto chant because we're at a Shinto shrine. But we all bow and close our eyes, and we've got our shrine, so he starts going, and when we come up and he's got leaves and he's leafing all of us. The most insane experience ever. I'm there just like, what is going on? This is so cool. And then I thought, so around the shrine there's a huge festival going on. There's noodles, there's tons of stuff, which I've been to a bunch. Like every time there's a festival, you go to the shrine, there's noodles, there's omonamayaki, there's takoyaki, there's the most delicious food around the shrine, all for like a pretty good price too. And then I'm like, oh my god, I'm so ready to eat. All I've eaten today is 2 onigiri, sake, highball, beer. I think like all I've had today is just alcohol and onigiri, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so ready for some noodles. And then our dude gets up there. I was a little sad. We hiked the shrine back up onto our shoulders. By this point, like I was switching off shoulders. Both of my shoulders are dead. Like I started like kind of carrying it on the back of my neck because it hurt so much to carry it on my shoulders, or I'd carry it like with this, like my hand. And so we start cruising. Now we're walking down the stairs with this shrine. We're going, yeah, yeah. Our one lady's going, yeah, yeah, like the most hype thing ever. And then like I was on a corner this time, and I'm starting to give out. Like I'm dead at this point. I haven't eaten anything. And this old man starts coming up to me. He starts clapping, yeah, yeah, and he's like clapping right in my ear. I like hike that thing up a little bit higher. I'm ready to go. I'm amped up now. There's an old guy like clapping into my ear, like right beside me, and he's like yelling at me as I'm going. So I hike it back up, and then we start cruising out, and we go all the way back to our original shrine. Like we're a couple more hours of this, and there was one time, the ladies and the old guys doing this are sleepers. There was this one giant sumo wrestling looking guy who I was like, oh, he's gonna carry the whole back of it, and we're just gonna be in the front. I don't even know that guy didn't even carry it that much. The crazy thing is like I was giving out at one point. Like I had been carrying it for a good long while, and this lady taps me out. She comes over, she puts a block onto her shoulder, and literally like hikes the whole thing up onto her shoulder. And like at this point I couldn't even stand during this thing, and she like presses it up onto her shoulder, and she starts dancing. And then when the old guys get going, they do this thing where they like skip their feet as they're walking to make the shrine jingle as much as possible. So they're literally like, imagine an old man skipping with 1,000+ pounds on his back. That's what what these guys were doing. They were all skipping in tow. So they were yeah, bo, making the whole shrine straight. And then me and the other couple students looked at each other. We're just just trying to keep up with these old guys. And then finally we get back. At this point, we've been carrying this thing for like 7 hours now. We get back, we try to park it. Boss man doesn't like our park job and keeps pushing us back. And this one took so long to park. I think we went back and forth with this thing like 5 times to try and park it correctly. And we yeah, and then he looked at it like, nah, back up. So we back it up again, come in for the final park, put it down, dead. almost everyone is dead at this point. Like, I've seen these, and you look at them, and you're like, oh man, that looks so much fun. All these people are having so much fun. It is fun. It is fun. It is so much harder. I need to train for the next time I do this. I was not mentally or physically prepared for how heavy this thing was going to be. We get back, he's saying his thanks, everyone's thanking each other, it's amazing. We eat, there's a bunch of platters of food laid out for us, we have some drinks. They gave me a little goodie bag with some like sweet treats in it and stuff like that. I kept the tabi shoes, returned the uniform, I was just renting that. Note about the shoes were amazing. They were so thin, and I was looking at them and I was like, my feet are gonna be dead after this. My feet are honestly fine. Those shoes are amazing. The tabi shoes with the split toe like this, those work great. Hobbled my way home. I had to take like 3 trains and then walk half an hour to get home. Came home, fell asleep like fully clothed at like 8 o'clock at night. The most exhausting, most fun thing ever. If you ever get a chance to participate in something, anything similar, just like say yes, do it. It was amazing. Oh, I forgot to mention there was one French guy that was doing it. There was a French man. He didn't make it. He gave up halfway through.